I still remember the weight of that night, settling on my shoulders like a damp coat. The soft restaurant lights glowing over polished tables. The clinking of cutlery ringing louder than it should have, as if the universe wanted me to hear every tiny detail before the blow landed. It was a family dinner, my sister's celebration. Everyone dressed neatly, laughter flowing as until I walked in slightly late, laptop bag still hanging from my shoulder because I had rushed straight from a client meeting. My older brother Arif spotted me before anyone else, his grin stretching too wide, the kind that always meant trouble. He lifted his glass dramatically like an actor about to deliver a punchline and said, "Look who finally crawled out of his little digital cave, the keyboard warrior himself." People laughed. It was small at first, then louder when he continued. "Tell us, did your online hustle finally buy you something bigger than coffee this month?" I felt a heat rising under my collar but kept my expression calm. My mother didn't look at me. My father silently adjusted his napkin as if silence could make the situation disappear. Someone joked about pajamas, someone else about fake online work, and Arif leaned back, proud that he had turned the table into his stage. I smiled politely, but every word hit with the accuracy of a hammer. When the waiter reached to refill my water, I stood up instead and quietly said I had another meeting to attend. Arif snorted. "Sure, run back to your little laptop world." I didn't respond. I simply pushed my chair in gently and walked out. Their laughter followed, long and thin like smoke drifting after a wildfire. That night, I lay awake, replaying the humiliation, but beneath the sting, something colder survived. I had been ignoring whispers for months about RF's logistics company, late salaries, delayed shipments, investors backing out. I had brushed them aside because he was my brother. But after that night, I finally listened. 2 days later, a friend who worked in finance called me. His words were low and careful. "RF's company is collapsing. He's swimming in loans, missing deadlines, bluffing his way through meetings. He's desperate." Suddenly the mockery made sense. He wasn't laughing at me. He was drowning and needed someone to push down to feel taller. That realization didn't spark revenge in me, it sparked strategy. I had built my remote consulting business quietly and effectively, studying markets, data, and patterns. Applying that same discipline here felt almost natural. I started researching everything: his debt structure, his suppliers, his emergency loans, the assets he had pledged. I found one lender practically begging to sell off RFS debt for a fraction of the value, so I bought it through one of my companies. Then I contacted the warehouse supplier he relied on for 60% of his operations. They were tired of late payments and were willing to shift their exclusive contract to someone more reliable. I stepped in, offered better terms, and they signed with me. Step by step I acquired leverage, not to destroy him but to confront him with truth. Within 2 weeks, I held control over the major lifelines of his company, and Arif had no idea. The knock on my apartment door came one Thursday evening. It was soft and unfamiliar sound coming from him. When I opened it, I barely recognized him. His hair looked unwashed, his shirt wrinkled, his eyes red like he'd been wrestling with himself for days. "Can we talk?" he asked, voice stripped of its usual arrogance. He walked into my living room like a man wandering into a foreign land. After a long silence, he finally said, "I'm in trouble." His voice cracked on the last word. He talked about loans, collapsing contracts, investors threatening lawsuits. He admitted he didn't know what else to do. "I know we've never agreed on your laptop stuff," he said awkwardly, "but maybe you could help. Or partner, just until I find my footing again." He looked up at me for the first time in years, not down, not sideways, but up, like a man hoping for mercy. I didn't speak. Instead, I walked to my shelf, pulled out the folder I had prepared days earlier, and placed it in front of him. "What's this?" he asked. "Your lifeline," I said. He opened it slowly. His eyes widened with each page. Alone ownership under my company, supplier contracts transferred to my control. Agreements outlining leverage he never imagined I'd possess. His breathing grew shallow. "You did this," he whispered. I nodded. He looked like someone watching a slow avalanche bury everything he thought he controlled. Why? He finally asked, voice trembling. Because this is what quiet work looks like, I sighed softly. The work you mocked, the work you tried to belittle in front of everyone. He swallowed hard, shame spreading across his face like ink. I didn't come to break you, I continued, but I won't save the version of you who enjoyed humiliating me. If you want help, we rebuild this on my terms with honesty, discipline, and respect. He stared at the contract for a long while before picking up the pen. Every signature he placed felt like a confession, every line a dismantling of his ego. That was 6 months ago. Now the company has stabilized under my strategist's lean structure, digital systems, smart logistics, clean finances. Arif still works there. But now, he reports to me, he rarely meets my eyes, the way someone avoids looking at the surgeon who stitched their wounds. But sometimes I catch him watching not with resentment, but with a heavy, humbled respect. People imagine revenge as fire and explosions, but real consequences arrive silently, shaped not by anger but by clarity. Some lessons need pain, some need reflection, and Arif, for the first time in his life, finally had both. And I, for the first time in mine, finally felt free.